Hi, this is Derek Regensberger, and welcome to another episode of the Clarinet Connection, your source for gear and product reviews and practice and performance tips for the clarinet. In today's episode, we'll be talking about part 7 of 24 tips for better clarinet playing. In today's episode, we're going to discuss the chromatic scale. And the chromatic scale is important for a number of reasons. First and foremost, it teaches you every note on the clarinet. So it really helps you improve your note recognition and also improves your range. Another important aspect of the chromatic scale is that you see it frequently in music. And so you really need to be able to familiarize yourself with being able to play the chromatic scale wherever it appears in music. So we're going to talk about some of the exercises that are helpful for developing technique on the chromatic scale. There's many varieties and ways to attack the chromatic scale in practice. So let's first hear how we might play the chromatic scale. So let's look at a few of those. You just heard the chromatic scale played in long tones, but we can also use other forms. One of the more interesting ones that I've seen is Stephen Williamson, the principal clarinetist of the Chicago Symphony, plays the chromatic scale in basically as soft as he can, where he can still get a note out. And the purpose for this is that he wants to find out how soft he can play every single note on the clarinet. It'll go something like this. And he goes all the way up the instrument until he can't get a sound out anymore. And this really teaches you to focus on playing softly and really improving your pianissimo playing. You still have to use a very focused airstream even when you're playing that softly. Some of the other exercises of the chromatic scale are found in a couple of warm-up books. In Kelly Burke, her warm-up book, there are a number of useful chromatic scale exercises. One is she calls Chromatic 5. So you play kind of a 5-note sequence up and down, and then you move on to the next sequence, etc. Another exercise that she has in the book is going ascending and descending chromatics. And etc. all the way up and down the octaves. So that's a great way to learn how to play little chromatic passages. In almost all music, you're never going to see just a huge chromatic scale. You're going to see it cut up into little bits and pieces. So that's why exercises like ascending and descending chromatics are so useful. If you want to look at a longer chromatic exercise, the Klose method book has one on page 133. So this particular book, you can see, is just an extended chromatic scale workout. The idea behind it is to arrive at different notes and start on a different note each time. books for practicing Flight of the Bumblebee is Bumblebee Loops. This book was put together by Christopher Jones, and it's extended exercises on little snippets of each part of Flight of the Bumblebee. So, for example, if I was to play the first 4 measures of Flight of the Bumblebee, in Bumblebee Loops there are kind of repetitive exercises that help you really focus in on those first 4 measures. And there are repeats after each little section. So then the next part. The idea behind it is that you play the first 4 bars, then you break it down into individual segments, and then you repeat each one of those segments that you really familiarize yourself with each one of the segments. Then finally you put the whole segment together in all 4 bars again. So the idea of a loop is that you play it once through, you play each segment repeatedly, and then you finally play the entire segment all together again. So it's a really unique way of learning the chromatic scale and Flight of the Bumblebee. So the chromatic scale, again, is a great way to learn technique and all of the notes on the clarinet. Tune in next time for part 8 of 24 tips for better clarinet playing. Thanks again for watching.